The Sims community is toxic. We already have enough gameplay for kids and teens. The Sims 3 is a terrible game. Alpha CC looks ridiculous. Sims should not be pansexual. If you are a snowflake, this video is going to trigger you. The Sims gaming community is one of the most toxic gaming communities out there. I have not seen a gaming community so sour and negative in my entire life. As a person, I can categorically say I am not woke, and I know a lot of people in the Sims community are very, very woke.
I don't think being woke or not woke is automatically a bad thing. I'm just highlighting the difference in values and personalities.
And I think that's a big barrier between me and understanding a lot of other people in the Sims community. Not just wokeness, but this whole internet thing of constantly arguing with people, holding people accountable, educating people online. I just think it's so pointless. Yet the Sims community are always doing it, especially on the shitstorm that is Twitter. I don't use Twitter at all, but I remember a couple of months ago, I saw a tweet from somebody saying that there weren't enough black style hairs in The Sims 4, and they got loads of comments saying things like, yes we do, we already have enough. I remember seeing a really long essay comment that was like, statistically only 30% of the world's population are ethnically black and 45% of hairstyles in The Sims 4 are ethnically black, therefore they are overrepresented. Like, what are you talking about? What the hell are you doing with your life, getting all these statistics up, trying to argue a point that what, you don't want somebody to have diversity that they want? Why are you wasting your life arguing about such a pointless thing? I saw another tweet once that was saying like this whole internet thing about the hatred of Eliza Pancakes is sexist. It's not sexist, it's just a funny meme about Eliza Pancakes, how much we all hate her. Like, it's just a dumb funny thing. It's got nothing to do with bloody sex. And since the Sims 4 gender pronouns update that came out a couple of days ago, I see so many Sims arguing and getting in such heightened emotional states on Twitter. Like, why are you arguing so much? If you believe in the whole concept of non-binary genders, good for you. If you don't believe it, good for you. Like, we don't need to all share our opinions and push our opinions onto other people and say, if you don't believe in my opinion, then there's something wrong with you. Just because you are 100% adamant that you are right and somebody else is wrong, that isn't an excuse to either argue or educate people online. Like, I remember seeing a tweet the other day of somebody made a joke out of the whole gender pronouns thing, and in the gender pronouns box they put sul, which is the Sims word for hello, and they got tons of hate for it. I felt so bad for them. Clearly they did not do this as a purposeful tactic to show aggression towards people who identify as non-binary as their gender. Clearly it was not done in an aggressive way, yet there are tons of people, including Sims content creators, mocking this person, judging and criticizing this person. You need to be held accountable because that was offensive and it doesn't belong in 2022. Like, this person clearly was not trying to be rude, so why are you personally getting offended? Just because 99% of people in a community think something is right, that doesn't mean somebody else is wrong. It is not objectively sensitive or offensive, it's just that you personally are being offended. And I find that people in the Sims community often get offended and often label people and call people out. It's like The Sims is supposed to be this diverse and inclusive community. We always talk about how The Sims is such a diverse and inclusive game, but only if you agree with my specific morals and my specific standards, and if you don't agree, then you can f off. And I just hate this toxicity in the Sims community that's like that. You are not an open and diverse group of people if you judge and criticize people for who are different than you. And even if somebody does say something that is so bad, even if they say something that is immoral in this Sims community space, you criticizing them online does not bring positivity into the Sims community. All you're doing is making the negativity worse, because when you judge people, criticize people, patronize people, even educate people, all you do is make them feel stupid. And when you make other people feel stupid, all you actually end up doing is solidifying their opinions and solidifying your opinions and creating an even further divide, which makes it even more toxic and negative. As a gay person, I constantly undergo so much homophobia all the time, especially as a content creator. I'm always getting comments from homophobic people. I'm not going to waste my time getting in a heightened emotional state, arguing with them, criticizing them, calling them out, educating them, because that would be a waste of my life. I personally have no control over the fact that somebody's genetics, upbringing, culture, background, personal values has led them to be homophobic. It is not my responsibility to change that person's life and their minds. And yet I could see those homophobic comments about me and constantly get upset by it, or I could just choose to ignore it, because when I choose to ignore it, I don't get in a negative state. But I feel like a lot of people in the Sims community who are active 99% on Twitter than any other social media platform always are constantly getting in this heightened emotional state, and it's not psychologically healthy, because all it does is put put you in a negative mood and puts other people in a negative mood. Even if somebody says something so wrong, guess what? There are billions of humans on this planet. All of us do something wrong in the eyes of other people. All of us need to be held accountable for something in the eyes of somebody else. But if we all held each other accountable and educated each other and got offended by each other, it would be an exhausting world to live in. We do not need to get offended just because somebody says something you do not like. And I feel like the Sims community just does not understand that. And the worst thing is when I see other Sims content creators or Simfluencers also getting involved in the arguments online. In my opinion, as a content creator, you are a role model for your followers and viewers. Although I know you're probably going to say, Satch, how can you say the Sims community is toxic when you're toxic yourself? Because you always complain about the Sims 4. Yeah, I do, but I never complain about individuals. I just complain about the game in general and criticize the game because I love the game and I want the game to be improved. And I use my content creator platform in order to share those views, hopefully so that the Sims can actually be a better game in the future. But what really annoys me is when I see other Sims content creators mock, criticize, call out anybody on social media, because you're just perpetuating this toxic atmosphere, especially because the Sims community mostly use Twitter. And on Twitter, when you like a tweet or when you retweet a tweet, everyone else can see that on their Twitter timeline. And I do think it sets a negative precedent, and it does annoy me, to be honest, when I see other Sims content creators getting involved in that, because all you're doing is bringing in negativity and hate in your community. Whether it's mocking another Simmer because they said something that's controversial that you don't like, accusing another Sims content creator of stealing material, accusing somebody of doing practices you don't like, whatever it is, it's just not the right way to deal with things. Luckily, my content creator journey so far has been completely drama-free and I've never had beef with anybody. If somebody did have a problem with me, another content creator, I would handle it with them privately because I wouldn't want to cause negativity and a toxic scene on the internet. I'm not the kind of person that thinks everything needs to be all out in the open on social media because I don't want to create that environment. And aside from cancelling each other and getting offended by each other all the time, there are other things I don't like about the Sims community. Firstly, I think the Sims community is slightly biased against men, but I have had comments before from people saying things like, ugh, a male simmer. I also think that many CC creators are biased against men, in which they don't make enough CC for men. I also think a lot of Simmers in general are biased in terms of not playing with men. A lot of Sims content creators are genuinely afraid of playing with male Sims, because if you play with male Sims or you use a male Sim in the thumbnail will get less clicks and the video will get less views, because most people who play the Sims do not like men in the Sims. And that is why you will often see that Sims content creators almost never ever play with male Sims. I am a part of the Sims content creator community. I have lots of friends in the Sims community who are content creators. I am also in the of course I'm in the SatchOnSims community. You know, every single day or every other day I see the same people comment in all my videos, and I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'm really, really glad that we have a community. But in terms of just a general Sims community, it is too toxic for me right now to ever say I want to be in the Sims community. I know some of you are going to want to maybe argue with me in the comments section. As I said before, I do not like arguing with people online. I do not want to have discussion or a debate, because as I said before, all that would do is solidify my stance, solidify your stance, and create a divide. We all have different opinions. Good for you if you absolutely hate everything I said. If that is the case, you can dislike this video and click off it so the YouTube algorithm never recommends me to you again. That's completely fine. But I just think there's no need to criticize each other online, because we all just need to be happy. Guys, if you're getting in a heightened emotional negative state online because of something somebody else said, switch the PC off, turn the phone off, put it in airplane mode, go for a nice walk. Don't even put the headphones in, just enjoy the natural sounds. You'll feel so much better. The Sims 3 is a terrible game. Again, I think this is one that's going to annoy a lot of people. Of all the Sims games, I probably have the most playtime out of the Sims 3. I used to love a couple of Sims 3 packs. I love the Sims 3 World Adventures. That was probably my favorite Sims 3 pack ever, and that's because it was a really big and extensive pack. But other than that, I actually thought the Sims 3 was quite superficial. Ugh. Don't get me wrong, I love the Sims 3 in that it was a huge game. It was a really ambitious game. The Sims 3 was the most ambitious Sims game ever, and I think one thing that's holding the Sims 4 back in general is that it lacks that ambition. But I also think a lot of the cast and build by stuff was quite ugly, and I do also think that the UI was very stiff and difficult to use, and I also think the gameplay in The Sims 3 was very shallow. I actually like in The Sims 4 that they've made more of an effort with things such as having a skill tree system for vampires, careers and a get famous system and lots of different active careers, I think it makes The Sims 4 a lot more fun and engaging. I just don't feel like The Sims 3 already had that much substance. It was just like a jack of all trades. I almost feel the same way about The Sims 2, but I feel like The Sims 2 gets let off because it was such an old game that it didn't really have to be good because it was so old. If we could have some of the progression that we have in The Sims 4, but mixed with The Sims 3 ambition, I would honestly love that in a Sims 5 title. But yeah, for me, The Sims 3 was probably the worst Sims game, and not just based on the gameplay, but also the DLC. The Sims 3 DLC was even more cash grabby than The Sims 4. We shouldn't have cheats. I've complained about this before in videos, and I honestly think The Sims 4 is too easy, and I don't really like God mode. And I know a lot of Simmers, you guys say to me in the comments that you actually really love playing in God mode. Good for you, and I think that's one of the reasons why The Sims is such a popular game. For me personally, I actually like challenge, and I love unlocking things and discovering things. The problem that I've always had with The Sims in general is that it's just too easy. And once you unlock something, it's like, okay, great, I've unlocked it, but what do I get from it? Yeah, I can get to level 10 in a career, but I could also just use Control-Shift-C Motherload to make money. I could work on all my Sims needs, or I could just cheat my Sims needs. I think cheats are way too easily available, and when they're too easily available, it makes the game not so fun. I know the Sims team released a scenarios update recently, which is great, but whenever I've tried to play with the scenarios before, I just end up getting frustrated and cheating, and I really just don't want the temptation there of being able to cheat. I just want the whole option completely removed. And I guess not just cheating, but also just have everything available. Like, why are all the cast options available from the start? Why are all the build buy options available from the start? Animal Crossing, I guess it's a life simulation game. It's similar to The Sims 4 in that respect, you can't deny. And one thing that brings me back to Animal Crossing again and again and again is because every single time I go to the shop, there's new items that I can buy. Every single time I go to the clothes shop, there's new clothes I can buy. There's new crafting recipes. In The Sims 4, it's all just available at once. Therefore, I don't really need to work towards anything or achieve anything, which does not incentivize me to go back to the same save file. And every single time I play the game, I always make a brand new save file and I play it for like 10 minutes before I get bored. And that's because for me, there's just no reason to go back. But of course, because God mode is very popular in The Sims 4, I would at least like to have a separate mode, like a standard mode or a challenge mode where you do not have any cheats available and you do have more limited cast and build buy options that you have to unlock as you go through. To me, that would be a great compromise to have just the different gameplay modes, because almost every other simulation game has a sandbox mode or God mode, and it has a regular mode, and it has a challenge mode like The Sims 4 scenarios. I think The Sims 4 does need 3 game modes. Could you guys actually tell me in the comments what you think about that? Because I never hear other people talk about it, but it's something that I've always been passionate about, and I'm genuinely curious, what do you think about it? Which leads me on to my next point. We have too much stuff in the game. The Sims 4 has the biggest cast and build buy catalogue of any Sims game, even just the base game. Like, if you just want to play The Sims for building, honestly, the base game is literally completely fine, especially with all the free updates and stuff. Like, you really don't need any of the packs. In some ways it's great, but in other ways I honestly find I get a little bit too overwhelmed. And I know a lot of Simmers love it when there's a new pack release or kit release because you can get new assets. I just feel like there's too much in the game. There's too much for me to use. There's too much for me to need. I honestly have not even used half of the stuff that's in the game just because there's too much. And when there's too much stuff, I feel like I can't enjoy it because it's just like, oh my god, which one do I pick? And I get a little bit stressed out. But again, that's probably an unpopular opinion just because of the fact that who doesn't want new free stuff? But yeah, I would rather have a more limited selection. We already have enough gameplay for kids and teens and toddlers. One of the biggest things I see a lot of Sims complain about is the fact that there isn't enough gameplay for Sims who are not young adults. And it's kind of like a meme in the Sims community that The Sims 4 is basically a female young adult life simulator because there's nothing to do for any other life stages. The thing is, like, in real life, what do kids do? They go to school, they come home, they watch TV, do homework, play some games, chat with their mates every now and again, but that's it. Real life kids don't really do that much. And a lot of people say we need more stuff for kids in the game, but I always think, like, what do we actually need for them? Granted, I do think it is a little bit annoying that a lot of the kids play stuff is locked behind random packs. Like, I think the swing set is locked behind seasons. Like, why can't a swing set just be in the base game? But especially if you have get together where your Sims kids can have clubs, or you have the seasons pack where they can go to scouts and stuff, I honestly think there's enough stuff for kids. However, I do think there should be a little bit more stuff for elders, some more elder specific activities. But other than that, I think the game is pretty well balanced for all life stages. Alpha CC looks ridiculous. I know a lot of people in the Sims community absolutely love Alpha CC. I honestly cannot think of anything worse than having an alpha sim. I just think it looks so strange. Like, if you want that alpha look, why don't you play Second Life? Why don't you play IMVU? Why are you playing The Sims? And maybe this is a bit controversial, but I do think the alpha CC community can sometimes be a little bit toxic too. Every single kind of alpha CC is always based on this perfect, gorgeous looking person. All alpha CC is based on model looks being extremely attractive. And I think it's just all these unrealistic beauty standards, which bothers me a little bit, especially when I see alpha CC makeup overlays for things like collarbones or alpha CC like under the jaw makeup to make the jawline look thinner and stuff. And I do think it promotes negative body image stuff. I don't even know what the proper term is. You know what I mean? Most people who play The Sims will make Sims that look skinny or muscular or attractive. It's almost like a psychological defense mechanism of not wanting to represent a normal looking human in The Sims and instead trying to represent them in this ultra attractive way to feel better about your own appearance. And I just feel like alpha CC particularly aggravates that more than Max's Match CC does. Real life humans are not picture perfect. We all have pores, we all have ugly skin, we all have a body figure that we don't like, we all have a hairline that we don't like. But making up for that lack of your self-esteem by the means of things like alpha CC, in my opinion, is very, very toxic. I'm not saying all alpha CC is like that.
I actually think it's very generous that many people make CC, whether alpha or Max's Match, and release it to the public for free.
And I'm not calling out alpha CC creators or people who use alpha CC in that way. This is just based on my personal observations on it. But if you do genuinely just like the realistic aesthetic, I just think maybe you should play Second Life or IMVU. I know that's so unpopular. Well, this is a video, but my unpopular opinions. Sims should not be pansexual. This is something that even I'm not completely sure about. As a gay person, I think I can categorically just say The Sims is one of the things that actually helped me to understand my sexuality. The Sims has always been a very, very open game in terms of that respect, which many other games have not been. In fact, 99% of games are not diverse when it comes to sexuality. And I'm honestly so glad that The Sims has been such a pioneer in the industry. That is one of the reasons why I've always had respect for The Sims. But I've always wondered, should The Sims 4 have a chemistry system that takes into account not only sexuality, but personality, traits, wants and desires, etc. I know we can get sexuality with the Wonderful Whims and Wicked Whims mod, but I would like to see something put in the base game for people who play on console who may not be able to get mods. And I think if they did include sexuality, it should be something that you can turn on or off. But again, it would be very, very difficult to implement. Maybe they could implement it so that your sim that you create or play as can have a set sexuality, but maybe all of the townies automatically are pansexual by default. I don't know. It's a difficult one because, you know, not every human in the world is pansexual, and The Sims 4 is a life simulator that should represent different kinds of people. But at the same time, you want The Sims 4 to be a diverse game. So it is really, really difficult. I think, did The Sims 2 have sexuality? I kind of forgot. But yeah, I think it's something that I would like implemented in some way, but it would have to be done in the right way. As a gay person, if I want to make a gay sim, but then that sim talks with a female sim and they start getting flirty autonomously, that might make me feel a bit like, oh, my sim is supposed to be gay. I want my sim to be gay. Why are they flirting with a woman? And the same the other way, you might want your sim just to be straight and not gay, yet they end up flirting with the same sex. So I think it's something that should be considered anyway. But obviously I know people get sensitive about it, so I don't know how they would implement it. I know some of the things I said today will trigger people, but as I said before, I really do not want to educate or be educated online. I don't want to hold or be held accountable. I don't want to have any negativity or toxicity. By all means, share your opinions in the comments. I want to see your opinions, but I really cannot stand other people's opinions being invalidated. At the end of the day, if your thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and behaviors do not infringe on anybody else's human rights, it is not a problem. It is honestly not worth the time and effort trying to change the mind of somebody who lives on the other side of the planet of you just because they said something online that you do not like. But that doesn't mean I don't want to hear your opinions. I want to know, you tell me, what is like the number one thing, your number one controversial thing about The Sims? I want to know. I do love a good rant sometimes, so if you want to see another video of me ranting, make sure you watch this one here. See you in the next one.